All right, and the last problem on this page, we've got this fraction, excuse me, we've got this fraction attached to j, which looks scary, but it's really just not that bad. So I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides, and I get 3/4 j is greater than 3. And then to get rid of this, I'm just going to multiply both sides by the reciprocal of the fraction. So I'm multiplying both sides by 4/3. So I get j is greater than, because I don't have to change the sign because it's not negative. And this is where, if we're not quite sure what to do, we're going to go 3 times, and then my fraction button right there, and I'm going to go 4/3, and I'm going to hit enter, and it's just going to be 4. So this should mean j is greater than 4. So I'm going to put my circle around the 4 and move my arrow out this way and double check that I'm not supposed to fill in the circle, and I'm not, so I'm done with that problem. Alright, so something else that we're going to do for reviewing for mastery is still more 2 steps, but now, oh my gosh, there's fractions everywhere. That is not the end of the world. You can still work with the fractions. The same thing you do with the equations that have fractions. You find your common denominator, multiply everything by it, and as you get from here to here, look, your fractions totally disappear. So they looked at this problem and they said 2, 6, and 3, everything goes into 6. We're going to multiply everything by 6, and then as they did, and you can use your calculator to do that multiplication, your fraction totally goes away, and now it just becomes one of the problems we were just doing on the other side. So if we take a look here, and I'm going to look, the denominator here is 6, the denominator here is 1, the denominator here is 2. I need to get rid of that. Everything, all those numbers go into 6. So I'm going to take 6, I'm going to take my calculator again, and we're going to say negative fraction 5/6, because that's what the problem is, 5/6. Get out of there, times 6. I'm going to hit equal. So that's just going to be negative 5x. Now I'm going to say 6 times 3/1. If you want to double check it just to be safe, 6 times fraction 3/1. That's just 18. So plus 18 is less than, and then 6 times 1/2. 6 times my fraction 1/2. And that just equals 3. Now this is just a problem that you've done a whole bunch of times before. So I'm going to subtract 18 from both sides, and I get negative 5x is less than 3 minus 18 is negative 15. Again, if you're not really sure, 3 minus 18. And there's my negative 15. So divide both sides by negative 5. Divide by a negative. That means something important. What does that mean? Well, I'm changing the sign of everything, so I need to change the sign here. So x is now going to be greater than positive 3. Greater than positive 3. So with this problem, I don't have any fractions, thank goodness, but I've got all this distribution that has to be done, the combining of like terms. This is no different than the equations you were doing before. So 2b minus 14 plus negative 4b is greater than or equal to 30 minus 18. Now that I've got the distribution taken care of, I'm going to combine like terms on both sides. So 2b plus negative 4b is going to be negative 2b minus 14 is greater than or equal to, and then 30 minus 18 is 12. Right? Now I look at what's happening to b, and it's being multiplied by negative 2, then subtracted by 14. So I've got to deal with this subtracted by 14 with the inverse operation of addition. So I'm going to add 14 to both sides, and I get negative 2b is greater than or equal to 26, because 14 plus 12 is 26. Divide by negative 2. All right, dividing by negative, I flip my sign. So b is now less than or equal to negative 13. All right, these next couple of problems here, I need to distribute my 2/3. It sounds awful, but it's not the end of the world. So I'm going to distribute my 2/3. I'm going to say 2/3 g plus, and then 2/3 times 4. So we're going to put in my calculator 2/3 times 4, and that equals 8/3. So we're going to say plus 8/3 minus g is greater than 1. So the denominator, the common denominator would be 3 because it's just the 3. So I'm going to multiply everything times 3. So 3 times 2/3 would just be 2g. 3 times 8/3 is just going to be plus 8. 3 times negative 1 is going to be minus 3g is greater than 3 times 1 is 3. I'm just multiplying 3 times everything. Now I'm going to combine my like terms. Negative g plus 8 is greater than 3. Subtract my 8 from both sides. Negative g is greater than, this is going to be negative 5. All right, I've got to divide by negative 1. So this means, I'm going to put it right there, g is less than 5. All right, so my next problem, I'm going to look here and I'm going to see that 5 is really the common denominator. I'm going to go ahead and multiply everything by 5 first. So negative 3/5 times 5 is negative 3. 8/5 times 5 is just 8. Got to leave my k there. And then I'm going to say minus 5 times this whole thing is less than or equal to, and 0 times 5 is just 0. Now it's something we can deal with. Distribute the 5. Negative 3 plus 8k is minus 15k plus 10 is less than or equal to 0. Combine both sets of like terms, my letters and my numbers. So 8k minus 15k is negative 7k. 10 and negative 3 is going to be plus 7 is less than or equal to 0. Subtract my 7 from both sides. So negative 7k is less than or equal to negative 7. We have to divide everything by negative 1. Dividing by a negative again means I flip my sign. So k is going to be greater, or excuse me, divide by negative 7, greater than or equal to 1. Because we just divided by negative 7. So that's my answer there.